My brothers and sisters, this is ODJ, Otis Drip Jones, must do it man himself. And I'd like to speak to Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock, if you did not know, let me be the first to tell you that you are a black face to white supremacy. You are a horrible individual, despicable, and in my opinion, you are a waste of black skin. Jason Whitlock, who was a Fox Sports analyst who was fired for whatever reason, and in my opinion should never ever be on national TV ever again. He uses his platform to talk bad about black people, to demonize black people, and does not use his platform to bring awareness to the plight of black people. He was recently interviewed about the leaked tapes of the body cam footage of the murder of George Floyd, and he said that the footage shows a narrative that George Floyd's death was a race hoax. And it really doesn't make sense to me, because the definition of a hoax is something intended to deceive or defraud. So my question to you, Jason Whitlock, what is deceiving about what we saw with our own eyes? Unless you're telling us not to believe what we saw, unless you're telling us that it was an act for that evil white former Minnesota police officer David Chauvin to have his knee on his neck for over, now that we know, over 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Was that pretend? Was that made up? Was it an act? Was it put together and fashioned that would deceive others? Was that not true? How can you fix your mouth to say that it's a race hoax? This isn't a game. George Floyd's death was not a game. He doesn't get an extra life. He's not coming back. And you want to say that it was meant to deceive? How? When we saw firsthand, this man died because of police brutality. Then he goes on to say that no rational person can say George Floyd's death was racially motivated. What are you talking about? Of course it was racially motivated. And the reason we know it was racially motivated, because if that was a white person, he wouldn't have did the same thing. It's been proven. White people are policed different than black people. Never once was George Floyd a threat. Never once did those cops have their life threatened. In no way, shape, or form. They may have been inconvenienced, but they were not threatened. And how dare you, Jason Whitlock, fix your mouth to say something so insensitive about George Floyd. He goes on to say that David Chauvin had no reason to think he should take Floyd's cries seriously. He wrote nearly every word out of Floyd's mouth was a desperate lie. That's what you saw? You saw him lying. Even if it was lies, did it warrant his murder? And I guess him saying he couldn't breathe, I guess that was a lie too. When in actuality, it was all true. The man couldn't breathe, and he died because he couldn't breathe. Jason Whitlock, shame on you. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You act as if you're not black. Have you looked in the mirror lately? Has your beliefs about life whitewashed your eyes to the fact that you can't see that, fool, you have black skin? And I wonder what it's going to be like when you find yourself in a situation that reminds you you're black. This is ODJ, Otis Drip Jones, must do it man himself.